Welcome to the Bring Your Product Idea to Life podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're getting started selling products or if you'd like to create your own product to sell. I'm Vicky Weinberg, a product creation coach and Amazon expert. Every week, I share friendly, practical advice as well as inspirational stories from small businesses. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to Bring Your Product Idea to Life. Today I'm speaking with Tim Reid, CEO of UK Export Finance. UK Export Finance helps UK companies of all sizes to win international contracts, fulfill orders and get paid for them. Whether you're exporting for the first time or with experience but you still need support, UK Export Finance can help you. So as you might have gathered, this week's episode is all about exporting. Tim shares the opportunities and what UK Export Finance can do to help you. So this is a really genuinely useful and interesting episode. And if you listen right to the end, Tim suggests his next step or the first step for businesses looking to export, and it's much simpler than you would think. So I really hope you enjoy this episode with Tim. So hi Tim, thank you so much for being here.
Hi Vicky, thanks for having me. Very happy to join this conversation.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. So can we start by please giving an introduction to yourself?
So I am Tim Reid. I am the Chief Executive of UK Export Finance. So I've been here about 4 years and before that had a career in banking with HSBC for 34 years. So here to help exporters on their journey.
Brilliant, thank you. So you're here to talk all about exporting with us today. Now, I want to start off with the fact that a lot of smaller businesses hear the word exporting and immediately assume it's complicated, it's expensive, or it's something that just large companies can do. Let's start with, is that a preconception you've heard? And if so, why do you think that exists?
So I've certainly heard that. And, and I know that exporting can seem daunting. You're working with different countries, different cultures, different rules, different time zones. And I think the hardest part is getting started. But the reality is you can reap some significant benefits here. I think exporting opens new doors to new revenue streams and can enable companies to grow perhaps more quickly than they can by just focusing on the domestic market. It also, I think there are a couple of things that I would say. So for me, one of the joys of my job is I get to travel around the world and see what's going on around the world. And I can tell you that people want to buy things from the UK. People want to buy British. So we're pushing on an open door. And I think that's encouraging for any business who's either exporting already or might be thinking about exporting. It can also help with resilience, so diversifying revenue streams so that you're not just dependent on the UK market. And of course, we're here to help take away some of that risk and some of that uncertainty by providing finance or insurance to companies who are looking to embark on or increase their export journey.
That all sounds really positive, thank you. And a little bit later, I will ask you exactly what UK Export Finance can do for businesses when they're looking to export. Before we move on, are there any other misconceptions you've heard about growing internationally that you just want to quash right now before we get going?
Yeah, great question. And, I think there are a number of things. So first of all, small businesses might think they're too small to export. And that's not true. Businesses of all sizes can export and can develop revenue streams in international markets. So, and many of the schemes that we offer, and as you say, we'll talk about that a little bit later, are absolutely geared specifically for smaller businesses. People will say it's too risky. Yes, there are risks, but I think you can mitigate those risks and find ways to make sure that you're not taking on something that creates too much financial risk for your business. We can help you mitigate some of those things. I think people sometimes think that everything has to be in order before they start. I don't think it works that way. You've got to, yes, you have to give it good care, good consideration. But ultimately, getting started and using the tools that are available to help you, navigate that journey. And Part of that is what we can offer from a financing perspective. Part of it might be the Department of Business and Trade, who can help people on their export journey. People think financing might be impossible to secure. We work with a number of financial partners and can help navigate that hurdle for businesses. So I think there are lots of misconceptions, but the overriding thing here is that there is real opportunity for revenue growth for smaller businesses as they explore export markets.
Thank you. And the other thing I took from that is that there's an awful lot of support out there as well, which is something that I wasn't aware of, and listeners perhaps weren't aware of. So really excited we're having this conversation. So for anyone listening who's never sold internationally before, what are the signs that they might be ready to start thinking about it?
Well, I don't think you necessarily know when you're 100% ready, but I think it's right to continue to explore opportunities, much in the same way as you would in the UK. If you're looking to grow your business, you're looking for new sales avenues, new ways you can grow your business. International can be part of that story. The export journey can be part of that story. But I think, again, the important thing here is to reach out to the tools and facilities that might be able to help you. And UK Export Finance is one of those, and the Department of Business and Trade is another, and the Chambers of Commerce that can help. So there are lots of people that have been on this journey before. Speak to people, speak to other exporters. Use the resources that are available to help you on that journey.
It's really interesting. Thank you. So it sounds like there's no right time, as it were, and this is something that businesses can do even when they're quite, newly established, perhaps.
Yeah, I think they can. I think there's a great opportunity here to explore multiple markets at the same time while managing the risk to make sure that you can appropriately develop the business in a way which helps mitigate the risk, but builds resilience in the revenue streams.
Thank you. And what kinds of businesses can UK Export Finance support? Do they have to be a certain size, a certain stage of business, in a certain sector?
So that's a great question. And it comes back to one of the misconceptions. Sometimes people think this really is just for big businesses, Rolls-Royce or Airbus or Jaguar Land Rover. Yes, we support those businesses. But equally important is the small and medium-sized business around the country. And when we think about providing support to those SMEs, every one of them is in a community around the UK, and we're creating impact in those communities or in the UK. So businesses of all sizes can export. We have a network around the country of what we call export finance managers. They're there to help people, help customers on that journey. And it doesn't have to be the sale of a product. It doesn't have to be there doesn't have to be a financing opportunity for us. Our people are there to help businesses on that journey. If people are looking for those people, as I say, they're called export finance managers. And if your listeners search for UK export finance managers, you'll get a list of them around the country. Mostly with names and telephone numbers, and you will be able to contact them directly and have a risk-free conversation about what to do next.
Thank you. Now, can you help by explaining in simple terms what support UK Export Finance provides and how it can help businesses grow internationally?
So we really do three things. So firstly, we will provide financing to overseas buyers so that they can buy from the UK. So that helps businesses in the UK win export contracts. We can help companies to fulfill those contracts by supporting working capital loans or contract bonds for export contracts. And finally, we can help businesses make sure that they get paid through export credit insurance to take away that payment risk for businesses.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Now, another misconception I think it would be good to talk about here is I think a lot of business owners probably assume that getting any kind of government support comes with a huge amount of paperwork or form filling or complexity. Is that the reality?
I don't think it is. I think there is. Obviously, we need to do our, due diligence, and we need to do our homework. But most of what we provide for small businesses is through our general export facility. So the way that this works is that we are working with banks and non-bank financial institutions around the country. And in essence, we are providing them with a government guarantee of up to 80% of the exposure to enable them to take more risk on these businesses. So actually, it's relatively straightforward, and we can cover a range of financing products from loans to trade finance products, and participating banks automatically get our guarantee if they meet the criteria that we've set out in working with those banks. But the banks will able to help guide companies through that.
That's really interesting. Thank you. And it sounds like there's quite a bit of flexibility in terms of the support that you can get. Is that correct?
I think that's right. We will provide financing for small businesses up to £25 million, which I think for most small businesses in the UK business community is a lot of money and can support a significant amount of business. But we'll do things that start much smaller than that, so tens of thousands of pounds to deal with those newer businesses or smaller businesses that are earlier in their journey.
Okay, that's really useful. Thank you. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about what happens when you start exporting, just so people have a really, clear understanding of perhaps what they might expect. What are some of the most common challenges businesses run into when they first start exporting, in your experience?
Well, I think people are worried about getting paid. So, they're selling overseas. They're reliant on money coming from overseas to pay for things. As I say, we can help with our insurance products to mitigate that risk and take that risk off the table. Sometimes I think when people take on a big export contract, it creates working capital challenges. So they may need to invest in production or in logistics or things that they need to spend money on long before they ever get revenue from an overseas contract. We can help with working capital financing. But I think the other thing that people can feel is a little bit overwhelmed. If it's the first time you're dealing with this, you need somebody to sort of hold your hand on that journey, and that's why we exist. We're there to make sure that viable UK exports do not fail for lack of finance or insurance.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And I think also, as you say, having someone to guide you through the process, because exporting, to be said right at the beginning, is quite daunting. So I think it's really reassuring to know that you can speak to somebody who can talk you through what it is, what to expect, and what your options are.
Yeah, I think that's right. We're there to help. I mean, we're genuinely there to help. I think our export finance managers are never happier than when they're speaking to exporters and working out how to grow the export economy one business at a time.
Yeah, that's really great. And out of interest, have you seen any noticeable changes in how smaller businesses are approaching international growth over the last few years?
So I think we have businesses which are perhaps more internationally ambitious than ever, and they're seeing free trade agreements. They're seeing opportunities to expand, and I think that gives a little bit of confidence. So, obviously the international environment has changed. There are challenges out there. But I think people are ambitious, and I hope that what people hear today is that the buyers, the overseas buyers, are very interested in talking to UK businesses about what they're making and the services they're providing, which should help fuel that ambition and make sure that we get more small businesses exporting than ever before.
That sounds really promising. And are there any particular markets or regions where you're seeing especially strong opportunities for UK brands at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, but when I look at this, and I mentioned earlier that I get to travel extensively. So last week I was in El Salvador. Next week I'm in Prague. There are opportunities in both of those markets, but every part of the world. Today I've had a number of discussions with respect to Africa. We're obviously dealing extensively with the Middle East. For us, the opportunities are genuinely global in nature, and the services we offer can help businesses expand in any geography.
That all sounds really promising and exciting, I have to say.
I think it's exciting too. I think this is part of the message. This is an exciting time for British businesses. There are real opportunities out there. So let's try and get more businesses seizing those opportunities.
Definitely. And so I know that some businesses now start selling internationally through third-party marketplaces, so places like Amazon, for example. Do you think e-commerce has changed the exporting landscape at all?
Undoubtedly. I mean, I think it's changed the way that we all, buy and sell things, for sure. But it hasn't. What it hasn't changed is how people start and persevere with their export story. It hasn't changed the support that they need as they grow. So it's another avenue to enable export sales, but the support mechanisms that we have in place are equally relevant, whether it's e-commerce or whether it's a direct business-to-business contract.
Okay, so are you able to support businesses who are selling via sort of third-party marketplaces with their exporting, as well as if they're selling directly?
Well, we will work with the financial institutions across the UK and help support businesses that require working capital or insurance to make sure that they're able to manage their business. The way in which the export happens is not critical to us, but understanding the journey that the company is on and working with the financial institutions that are supporting them is very important.
Yeah, thank you so much for clarifying that, because I think that would be genuinely useful to listeners who might see selling internationally via third parties as being slightly different to exporting. So I think that's really useful to clarify that. So thank you. I'd love to ask you as well, Tim, what would you say to a business owner who's curious about exporting but worried about getting it wrong or making a mistake somewhere? Because I think when you don't, when something feels a bit foreign, excuse the pun, I don't mean that as a pun, but
Yep.
when something's very new to you, it can be extremely daunting. What would you say to someone who's sort of on the fence?
I think it can be daunting, so we should acknowledge that. So we shouldn't pretend that there aren't challenges along the way. But the rewards can be really significant. So I think the first step for any business thinking about this, yes, be aware of the risks. Don't jump into it without doing your homework, but reach out to us and speak to one of our export finance managers around the UK and help. They can help you, excuse me, they can help you understand the challenges that are out there and the tools that are available to help navigate those challenges. So yes, it might be daunting, but that should not discourage people from taking that first step.
Thank you. And it does genuinely sound like there is a lot of support out there for people. So I think that's really encouraging. So do you have any examples of businesses that have successfully expanded internationally with support from UK Export Finance? Any sort of success stories you'd like to tell us about?
So we have hundreds, but we haven't got time for all of that today. So let me pick a couple of examples that might be interesting, and I'll deliberately try and pick a range of sectors so that people can get a sort of sense of where we might be able to help. So we've helped on a deal for AI and data centers in Kenya. We've helped a beer company export to Italy, Sweden, Germany, and Switzerland. And we've helped a company from Chesterfield export hot tubs to North America. So there's a pretty diverse range of businesses we've been able to help. And I think the honest answer is, whatever the goods are or the services are, we can have a discussion about helping those businesses.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And thank you for sharing those examples. What's the one thing you wish more UK businesses understood about exporting?
Oh, I think it's the opportunity. I think the scale of the markets outside of the UK and the opportunity for UK businesses. I really think we're pushing on an open door here. People want to buy British, and I think UK businesses should think about this as a way to grow, but also to diversify their revenue base. So understanding the opportunity is the thing that I wish more businesses knew about.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And I've got one final question before we finish up, Tim, which is if there's someone listening today and they're interested in exploring international growth, what's the best first step they could take?
So search on the web for UKEF Export Finance Manager. Find the one that's in your region. Send them an email or ring them up. And they will help you navigate what can be a complicated landscape, but help you take the first steps on that journey. And I think they may be surprised when they peel back the sort of layers of the onion and understand the scale of the opportunity that's out there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And that sounds like a very achievable first step. So thank you for that. And thank you so much for your time and for everything you've shared today. It's been genuinely really useful, really interesting. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And I've enjoyed the conversation, and I hope that your listeners will too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Do remember that you can get the full back catalogue and lots of free resources on my website, vickyweinberg.com. Please do remember to rate and review this episode if you've enjoyed it, and also share it with a friend who you think might find it useful. Thank you again, and see you next week. Hello, if you're selling on Amazon or you're planning to and you'd like ongoing support as you go, I've just opened the doors to my membership, Amazon Made Easy. It's a space for product-based business owners who want expert guidance, somewhere to ask questions, and a bit of structure and accountability while they build and grow on Amazon. Inside, you'll get regular live Q&A calls with me, optional co-working sessions, practical resources, and a supportive community of people all working on similar things. It's designed to make selling on Amazon feel clearer, simpler, and much less overwhelming, and to give you somewhere to go where you're stuck or unsure of what to do next. You can join at any time and stay for as long as it's helpful. And if you'd like to take a look, you'll find the full link in the show notes.